Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining me today. I'm Aaron Rutten, digital artist, and today I'm going to be live streaming some digital art. This is your chance to ask me questions about digital art, pick up some new tips about digital painting, and if you're into the Streamloots scene, then you can interact with my live stream by popping up crazy stuff on my screen and influencing how I create my painting, maybe by the contents of the painting or by the tools I use or the hands I use. So let's go ahead and check out some of this fanciness here. As I mentioned in my previous live stream, I'm kind of trying to up my live stream game here. So I have my Stream Deck here that I just got, which has some buttons, and I can switch between these different scenes. It's pretty cool. And I made sure to set up a nice camera behind me here so you can see me drawing. So I'll just go ahead and start off my drawing here. So I think I might do something kind of more abstract starting out. McGlenn says, looking and sounding good. Thank you, McGlenn. I appreciate that. So I had this sketchbook, or, well, I've had several sketchbooks that I would draw in. And I'm talking like, real sketchbooks, not digital ones. And I'd take them out different places and draw, and I'd just draw with felt pens, and then just kind of like ink pens with a finer tip. And I wouldn't really think about what I was going to draw. I'd just let my mind wander and just draw lines. Sometimes what I'd draw would have a theme, but really the whole point was just to get practice drawing lines and to be able to focus on art more, because I'd draw on the bus or at the pub in public, and then, I'd have all those distractions of what was going on around me. Jer's here. Good to see you, Jer. Thanks for popping in. So I'm liking this new setup. I don't know, Jer, if you have the Stream Deck. You probably do. You probably have all that fancy stuff. But I just got it, and it's pretty cool, not just for live streaming, but for use in video editing and all kinds of stuff. It's neat to make those shortcuts. So I'm finding it pretty useful. I actually have used it more for video editing. What's up, Galen? Good to see you, buddy. Appreciate all the tips that you've been giving me. I got the Stream Deck finally. I had to pretty much just order one off of Best Buy's website, so I could go bam, switch between my, oops, press the wrong button, switch between my stuff here. It's pretty sweet, dude. Co-stream, yeah, how do we do that? Let's do it. So at this point, I'm co-streaming with Galen on his channel. If you want to check out our banter back and forth, you can go on his Mixer channel, which is mixer.com/artbygalen, and you can hear our conversation. But because I didn't record his audio in this particular recording, you can't hear it in this stream, so why bother showing it? So here's the painting that I'm working on, and you can see our shenanigans that are going on. But again, if you want that dialogue, check out his stream. So once this is done, we'll get back to me doing a solo stream with narration. All right, so feel free to stick around. I'm going to keep working on this. I also have some Streamloots cards that you can play that have drawing requests and whatnot. Let's see. So let's do, I want to try out this coupon thing here.
So I'm going to leave the call.
Cool. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Cool. Check you later. Okay. Sorry. We're still connected there on Discord. And I want to make sure that everybody can see me and hear me also. And then we'll be good to go. 3 buttons below, leave co-stream. Maybe I was still connected there. I don't know. Jer says sounds good. Thank you, Jer. All right, so here in the chat, I have a link if you want to check out the Streamloots stuff I have. The button to the right, 3 dots. So there's one on the chat and there's one on the thing. Aha, leave co-stream. I had to scroll down. Sweet. Thanks for the follow, Dino Wolf. Good to see you, buddy. All right, so let's go back to the painting here. So I think most of you know I'm working in Corel Painter here. Thanks for the host, Galen. Dino Wolf's so used to seeing my YouTube videos. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done a live stream. I mean, I had taken a pretty long break. Thanks, Galen. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's cool that it's so easy to connect that way because back in the day when I used to live stream, we had to connect on some other third-party video chat software, and this just seems to stitch it all together. That's nice. Thanks for the hosting, Jer. Much appreciated. You have a great day too as well, Galen. Thanks for the host, Jazara. So I've mostly been using the thick paint brush, which is really cool. You can build up thick paint. Thanks for the host, Dino Wolf. You can build up paint and kind of scrape it away. Eventually, I ended up flattening some of this paint down, so it's no longer thick anymore, and then I can kind of blend it like I've been doing. So right now I'm using an oily blender here on some of this. I'll go ahead and zoom in a bit too, so you can see kind of more of this detail as I'm blending. It's a nice blender. Now, if you overdo it, you can really smudge it around. So I'm just kind of showing you like what it would look like, but I'm using a very light touch. And I can add in some little details like that. Or I have other brushes that already have texture built in. Those can be helpful to use too. And you can kind of just, I don't know, kind of blend and smudge at the same time. Landscapes are always a good go-to if I don't know what to do. It's funny, I put a lot of work into preparation for the live stream just to get all the hardware to work, you know, and then I don't always think about what I want to do, but I'm kind of a spontaneous person and I like to just improvise things. I think a lot of people, Jazara wants to do your 10-minute drawing card. Absolutely. I will save this and I will create a new canvas for you here. Thank you, Jazara. And I can get an opportunity to use my timer here too. Let's see. Did I set one up for 10 minutes though? Probably not. I'll do that. Yeah, so this Stream Deck thing is pretty sweet. So let's see. 600 seconds. That's what we want. Let's tweak this a bit. Okay. Change the mood lighting. All right, Rose. So, Maku for Dino. Okay, so it's an original character from what I take it. So let's do the timer here. You won't be able to see the timer, but I have it here, and hopefully I'll pay attention to it. It's 107, so at 117 or so I need to be done. So here we go. So because I don't have a whole lot of time, I can't really afford to do a sketch first. So I'm going to try to kind of sketch and draw at the same time. I like this character. It's a dragon, I believe. Oops, forgot the cheeks there. That's the tricky thing about details. It's very hard to see everything in a short period of time. And if you know you have a short period of time, 8 minutes and 30 seconds, makes you kind of have to determine what it is that's worth keeping in order to be able to get the likeness of the piece. Try not to waste too much time on undos. And try to really cut corners if I can. No, I'm wasting time because I'm not filling in my things the right way. So I'm going to be lucky if I can even get the hands in here. I don't think I'll be able to get the full body. It's a nice request. See, I have 6 minutes and 46 seconds. I'm not doing too bad. Might be able to get the body. See, there's another thing back there. Spike. Okay, I'll just stick to the upper body just to make sure that I can get something done. Kind of scrunching the wings in here a little bit. We'll get some of that tail too. We got 5 minutes left, so I think what I want to do is fix the proportions a little bit. Not fix them that much. I still got some time, so see if we can do more of the body. Got a little sloppiness there. Okay, still got almost 4 minutes left. I'm further along than I thought I'd be. If I'd have tried to sketch it, though, I probably would have ended up being... I would have eaten through all my time. So let's see, did I get everything that I want to get in here? Sorry, I'm not doing a very good job of keeping up on the chat. I will get on that as soon as this is over. Do a little bit of shading here. The wings need some shading. Two minutes left. So I can try to fix some things that are not optimal. I might even zoom out on it just a bit to kind of see. Mine's proportion-wise is a little bit off, but it's good. Got the gist of it, I think. I don't think I'll have time to color it. So let's see, what else can I add? I'll just kind of clean it up. I even have time to be nitpicky here. This is nice. Those big eyelashes too I should put in. I have 5 seconds left. Oh, cool. It did a little bell sound for me too. That's nice. Dynawolf loves it. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Just going to catch up on chat here. 4 on the head, 3 on the tail. That was a great request, Chizara. Very thoughtful. That's your first character. Rose says, I'm getting the hang of the 10-minute drawing. Thank you, Rose. He's orange and white. Rose says, I have a good color theory video on YouTube. I've got a few. The one that I think is probably can be the most helpful is the color gamut masking video, which you've probably seen that. I have a Photoshop course. I do. It's only available in my lesson archive now. It's a bit outdated. I mean, I would say probably everything that's in that course you could still do in Photoshop. It's just I had the unfortunate timing of putting that course out maybe a week before Photoshop changed their UI a whole bunch and a bunch of other stuff. So it was like, instant, I guess I shouldn't say irrelevant because it's not irrelevant, but it just kind of, it's bad timing. Bad timing for Adobe. How dare they? Not that necessarily means that it's not a good course or that people didn't buy it. It just, that's just something that bothered me about it. It's superficial, but, So yes, if you're interested in that, it's available on my Patreon, and I believe if you're one of the higher tier members on YouTube memberships, it's also available on there. Romance says this is a cute creature. So I will be happy to send that to you. Let's save that. But after the stream, of course. Cool. Thank you for that. I don't know who else has cards, but if anybody else has some Streamloots cards they'd like to play, you can always, if you have a card that's a drawing request, there's that option. I'm going to go ahead and go back to this thing here that I was working on. Just kind of blend it a bit more. Yeah, colors are a little washed out on that. It's too bad. I'll have to tweak that. It's kind of the tricky thing about having the two cameras. It's very hard to get the color to sync up. So it's a cool idea, but it has its flaws sometimes. So doing this blending just kind of adds a little bit more detail. Breaks it up a bit, makes it look farther back. Okay. Probably should do some of that on the stuff in the foreground too. Oh, I merged that. So I like to use a lot of layers. I mean, there isn't a ton of layers in this piece. If this were something I weren't improvising, then I might use more layers because I'd have more time to kind of play around with stuff. And I do have landscape painting courses too, if you want kind of a slower demonstration of how to do a lot of this stuff. Sometimes flipping your canvas horizontally can be good too. Gives you a fresh perspective on it. You just have to remember that you flipped your canvas because sometimes you're still thinking that the light is on the other side. Things can get a little messed up that way. Let's see what happens if we try to blend some of these trees too. Yeah, they don't need to be blended. I'll leave them alone. What else to add to this? I might enhance the clouds a little bit. Brighten them up just a bit. I think I overblended it earlier, and so we can give it some more definition here. I don't like that. I'm going to go back a bit. There we go. See, just a little bit of that really makes the sky look more dramatic. Kind of wolf wish she lived in that universe. Not sure what Hilda is. I'll have to check that out. I'm just kind of putting tops on clouds here. And that sets them apart from each other. They look all kind of layered up and wild. I'm sampling colors from the area that I'm painting in. That way they don't get too out of whack. And as I start to get up here toward the top, I might kind of stop doing that just so it fades out. Yeah, I like that better. Some more action in that sky now. I even just have a little cloud here that's doing its own thing. A couple little pieces of clouds like that. And then it doesn't hurt to blend some of that stuff. Romance says this looks really nice. Thank you. Pizza Time would like to know the major differences between Corel Painter 2019 and 2020. The best thing I can recommend for you to do is to watch my video that I made that just goes over the new features. But I'll briefly summarize a few key points. Most importantly, some of the brushes can now support GPU, which is your video card or your graphics processor, meaning that if you have a GPU or a good video card, you can take some of the burden off of your computer, off of the CPU, meaning that some brushes will work faster. Now that's dependent on you having a computer that has a GPU and a computer that's powerful enough to run those brushes without introducing a lot of lag. So long story short, if you have a fast computer, Corel Painter can take better advantage of that. And it's a noticeable difference. So that would really be the main reason to upgrade. If you don't have a fast computer, then there isn't all that much other than some kind of organizational stuff. There is the harmonies panel, which is cool, and you can see different color harmonies and get the swatches for them. But you could get harmonies lots of different other ways too as well. So there's a way to switch back and forth between your currently selected brush and your previously selected brush. There is nicer looking previews of your brushes and things like that. But yeah, a lot of it's just kind of organizational and superficial, but that GPU support is nice. So I'll probably go till about 2 p.m. my time, which is a half hour from now. I think I'm getting kind of near the end of what I can do with this painting. Might sharpen up my mountain peaks a little bit. But yeah, if you check out that video that I have with the review video, then it goes into more detail about all those features. I need my Wacom Art Pen. Let's check out the Wacom Art Pen for those of you who've not used it yet. So let's pick a color we can see here. So it's actually pretty sweet. So you have your dab that's flat like a palette knife, and then you can kind of rotate the dab. So if I make a smaller brush, you can see I can get this nice palette knife effect. Of course, I made my layer not opaque, so I can rotate it and get a nice width in my mark. Feels really nice to paint with. Like if you do any kind of palette knife stuff, like painting mountains, for example, it's really nice for that. And the Wacom Art Pen has been around for a while, and I don't know if a whole lot of people really use it, but they should because it's awesome. See, I'm using it here for this mountain, then I can get all those nice angular marks. What are everybody's thoughts on music during live streams? Is it like everybody plays music, or some people do and some people don't? So I don't know what to do. Like, I try to talk, have some dialogue, but I also don't want everybody to have to listen to me breathe if they'd rather be listening to music. I suppose if there's no music on my stream, then you can put on your own. And if I put on my music, then you have to listen to mine, otherwise you can't hear me talk. So I guess there's pros and cons to each. Jared's got to head home. Good to see you, Jared. I appreciate the help, and I appreciate you hanging out with me. Hope to see you again soon. What's your live streaming schedule like so I could come check out one of your streams? All right. Getting some nice peaks in here. Pizza Time would rather hear streamers breathe and talk than music. Yeah, it's hard to know. Like, that's why I always like to just ask. I don't have to have music. I mean, if this were me working just by myself, I would have music that I enjoy listening to playing. But none of that is royalty free, so can't do that in the stream. So I can pick genre-wise music that I like, but no one's going to agree on that. People will not like the music that I choose. Rose agrees. Okay, good. Well, then I will breathe. Yeah, that's starting to come together. Darken up some of these darker peaks as well. Or sharpen up, I guess is what I mean. I don't necessarily need to darken them. In fact, I might just bump that color down a bit. Sometimes the thick paint has a habit of looking too dark or too light compared to what's underneath if you're painting on top of paint that's not thick paint. Pizza Time is following. Thank you, Pizza Time. I wish it were pizza time for me. I mean, it is pizza time in here. Well, you can't see him in the shot, but I have Ninja Turtles. Maybe I can raise this up so you can see them. That's just assuming that your pizza time reference is Ninja Turtle related. But there's a whole row of them up there. Part of my toy collecting obsession. It's a bad habit. If you want me to go on a vintage toy collection rant, I went to Value Village the other day and they had a bunch of He-Man figures, like I think about 6. They were locked up behind the glass, and they wanted like $14-15 each for them. It's like, come on, man! I don't think they even go for that much on eBay. And nobody goes to the thrift store to pay eBay prices for stuff. Like, the point of the thrift store is stuff is supposed to be cheap, not what it would cost if you went to a toy collector. It's not fair. And that's not like they were complete. I don't think they had accessories or anything like that. So I don't know what they're thinking. That's my toy collection rant of the day. Shazar says, "Woo, that's a lot." Rose does like Mixer better than YouTube for the live time. Yeah, it's different. I don't know if I like it better or worse. I haven't used it enough to know how I feel. It's a lot more involved. Like, it was definitely easier to do YouTube because there's not so much you can do, but then there's a lot less that I can do as far as interactivity. And then, so I think the atmosphere is better here. It's more positive. Not that my live streams are necessarily negative. It's just there's always that element of like people who don't watch my channel coming in and being disruptive. Which really didn't happen that much, but it did happen, and it could happen here on Mixer too, but I don't know. From what I've heard, from what Galen's told me, the Mixer community is a little bit nicer. Or more pleasant, I guess, is what I mean. But, there's the downside that not everyone who watches me on YouTube is going to bother going over to Mixer and watching me. But the problem with live streams on YouTube is I think a lot of people subscribe to my channel for my reviews. So if I post anything that's not review content, then those people don't like that. So if I live stream, that's just more stuff that shows up in their feed that they don't want to watch, and then I end up getting unsubscribes. So it's not practical to really do live streams on YouTube if that's going to be what I'm going to get out of it. Nobody's going to unsubscribe to me unsubscribe to my YouTube channel from Mixer, so that kind of alleviates that. And then it's a bonus that I have all this other fun stuff to play with. And then for me personally, I was feeling kind of just like what I was doing was getting kind of stale. So it's nice to have stuff to play with that is new to me and that adds some value to my streams. Rose likes it way better than Twitch. Twitch people are rude, she says. And that's what I've heard too. I never really had much success on Twitch either. If anybody's got some of those Stream Deck cards and they feel like playing them, feel free to do so. Sometimes there's ones in there that mess with what kind of tools I can use or whether or not I have to paint with one hand or two hands, things like that. Those are ones you can feel free to play at any time. And if you have a drawing request one, I don't mind taking a break from this and working on something else too. Do not worry about interrupting me. I'm not concerned about that at all. That kind of stuff is fun for me. Bromance wants to know, is landscapes my favorite thing to paint? I don't know if it's my favorite. It's, as I was kind of saying earlier, it's kind of a go-to because you don't really have to think a whole lot about what you're doing. You just kind of do it. Now, I'd probably be a bit more focused if I had a reference photo that I was going off of. But this just feels good to me, just to be able to just paint and just not think about what I'm doing too much. Improvise. So it's one of my favorites. I have trouble with the concept of favorites because there's so many things that I like And it's hard for me to put them in a hierarchy and say that this one particular subject is my favorite because, I might get sick of working on that subject and want to take a break and do something else. And I like variety. So it is a favorite. I don't know if there is the favorite per se. Another subject I like is surrealism. As I've said before, it's a hard thing for people to relate to. So it's not like I can really make like surrealism tutorials on YouTube because, it's so subjective. So for that reason, I kind of have to, if I'm going to do subject matter, I have to do stuff that people are going to be interested in. Otherwise, people aren't going to watch my videos. And if people aren't going to watch my videos, then why have a channel? When I didn't have a YouTube channel, that's when I painted what I wanted to paint, and that's when I did more surrealism and just whatever. I'd do abstract stuff. I'd experiment with all kinds of different things. But now, I have to kind of think about the content that I create because I want people to be able to enjoy it and see it. So landscapes are one of those things that are always popular. Whenever I do a poll, people like to see landscapes. And so it's a good subject for live streaming for that reason. But it would be cool to do a surrealism live stream. Just kind of backing up on this to get a feel for how it's coming together. Definitely needs to be blended a bit, and I almost want to say that paint is too thick. The thick paint is too thick. Thin that out a bit. Maybe even more than that. I see there's some over here too. That's better. Okay, I'm going to merge all of that down. Whoops, something changed when I did that, so I need to back up a minute. Okay, that layer does not want to be merged. So what I'm going to have to do is convert it from screen to default. I need to take the thickness out of the paint. And that gives me basically the same result. And then now if I merge it, now it looks all right. Chizara says, like Bob Ross draws happy trees and mountains. Definitely. Bob Ross is one of my inspirations. I wanted to be able to make Bob Ross style paintings digitally. There wasn't a whole lot of information out there as far as how to do that, so I've kind of just had to come up with my own techniques. But then I do things, my own way. It's not like I want to be a Bob Ross clone. There's some principles that he follows that I like to follow too. Being able to improvise and not have to overthink your painting to enjoy what you're doing. I think that's all good. Rose loves my digital art lesson. Thank you, Rose. Romance like surrealism. Yeah, maybe that's something to come up with for the Streamloots cards, like a serializer button or something. When I'm working on a painting, somebody can fire that one off, and then I can change the way that I'm doing the painting and make it a little bit more wacky. So I think this needs a tree in the foreground. Shoot, our time's almost up. Let's go ahead and put a little tree in the foreground. Let's create a new little layer here. He always did that. He was like almost out of time. It's like, yeah, we'll put in a tree. Here's where that palette knife comes in handy, because you can ever so slightly change the angle of it to make it thicker at the bottom and thinner at the top. Actually, let's have these kind of hang down like that. Thank you, Rose, for the cocoa. It's delicious. But in the future, you really will be able to send people cocoa over the internet. Wouldn't that be something? So add some little doodads here on these branches. And then let's see if we can get away with putting some foliage on these here. These thick paint brushes are very versatile. Oops. Something like that. And then since this is a winter scene, gotta have some snow on top of those. Using very light pressure, you can really get this paint to kind of break. And this is something that I had to try to find workarounds for the longest time, and then they added it in Corel Painter. It's just so cool. Like there isn't another application that does this quite the same. There's some applications that have thick paint, don't get me wrong, but just not this kind of thick paint. You know, when I said earlier, pay attention to the side that your light is on when you flip your canvas. Well, here's an instance where I almost put the light on the wrong side. And I think I did for the snow stuff, but I think for that, it's not really going to make a difference, because it's just kind of hard to tell where the light's coming from, since it's just so few little highlights on here. But I want to make sure they're clearly on the side that has light on it. Pizza Time wants to know, what's my number one tip for someone just starting digital art? Don't give up, because it seems like that's what a lot of people do with things. They give up because it's too difficult. And then I think everything else is just, if you don't give up, then you're always going to keep learning and getting better. There isn't really one technique or one video you can watch or one tutorial or one book you can read that's going to really do much for you, because there's just so many different skills that you have to master, really. Not just the digital art aspect of it, not just the technology and the software, but painting techniques. Not everybody wants to paint the same kind of content, so I could give advice for landscapes, but if you do anime, my landscape advice is probably not going to be very helpful. Rose wants to know if I'm going to put this up for sale. I like your attitude about stuff, because it's just like with the longer or the real-time versions of videos. I'm like, I don't know if anyone's really going to like real-time versions of my videos. And then you come along and you're like, those are great. I love those. Those are my favorite. So it's the same thing with the art. It's like, I could put it up, but who would want to buy it? But hey, if you're interested in it and there's more people who actually would like to buy the paintings that I create during live streams, I could definitely do that. And that's something I've considered, but I guess I just doubt that anybody would want to buy anything. So let's say if there's expressed interest, then that's definitely something I could do. This one didn't turn out too bad, though. There's some paintings I do during live streams where I'm like, there's a reason why no one's going to want that one. And that's not me being too hard on myself. It's just, me being realistic. I know what I put time into and what I don't. Things that I generally don't put time into are not my best work. And I think that goes for everybody. But not always. I'm surprised. Like, there's things that I put tons and tons of time into. Some of my more detailed, like, photorealistic stuff that doesn't get as many views as something that's simpler that I spent less time on in some cases. So it's not always the detail art that wins out. Think about how popular cartoons are, like Funny Pages cartoons. Those are extremely popular, and there's probably a lot more people who know who Garfield is than know who, Giuseppe Archimabaldo or something, So it's like that struggle for perfection that's a losing battle. Just be happy making art. That's what you should do. That should be your goal. It shouldn't be to be the best artist in the world or be better than anyone, or, you should be as good as you can be and do the things that you want to do, and don't let other people tell you how to be an artist, because then you're never going to get anywhere. So everyone will tell you something different. Pizza Time said that foreground tree really makes it all come together. Thank you. Yeah, you build those planes and you kind of expect to see something there, I guess. And it's also composition. We have the rule of thirds. So let me see if I can make those stand out more. Of course not. Of course I can't. We'll zoom in on it. So you have your canvas divided into 3 columns and 3 rows. I didn't have this grid up. I just kind of do this stuff instinctively. Some people would argue that this is not a legitimate form of composition and that it's just arbitrary, but I disagree. I feel like it's helpful to me, because you wonder, like, where do I put stuff? Well, here you go. Here's where you put stuff. And the trick is you can really put anything anywhere. You can have something here, in these boxes like this, or you could have something in the entire column. Or you could have something on the row, like all the trees are in a row, which, that's just kind of how it is in a landscape. The trees obviously only in this area. These big clusters of trees are here. The mountain kind of dominates this big 4-panel chunk. The clouds have their own individual areas where they're not interrupted there. So there's some cool stuff. And then you can get into divine proportion, the golden ratio, and so on, and that stuff is pretty crazy too. But little tools like that are helpful. It's just all those little tricks you learn eventually add up into something that helps you be more confident when you're creating art. Rose is going to get the cow in between the buns. That's her favorite. That sounded not right if you don't understand the context. There's a painting I did of a kind of like a nice, delicious, high-end burger that you might get. Not like a cheap one, but like one that has, quality bread and whatnot. And instead of meat on it, there's a dead cow. So yeah, that's out there if anybody wants to put that up in their house. I actually have it here in the office. It's just not. It's around the corner where I can't show you. McGlenn says practice for an artist is what the Force is for a Jedi. Yeah, you definitely gotta practice. And it doesn't have to be like, I don't sit down and just draw like 200 mountains in a row until I can draw a mountain. Like if I feel like drawing a mountain one day, I'll do it. And if it turns out terrible, whatever, that was practice. If it turns out good, that was practice, So just doing it. I know I could paint better mountains than I can paint now if I just keep practicing. So I just keep doing it. But I think casual practice for me is better than like forcing myself to do routines or to do the same thing over and over again. I just don't like that. I'm not saying that it wouldn't help or that it's not effective. I'm saying I don't like to work that way. So it's about 2 now. I think since there's interest in this piece, that's awesome. So I'm going to sign it. That way, if somebody does want to buy it, then it'll be ready to go. And I can totally do that, Rose. And anybody else who would like this, if there's something that's not in my store that's available, which by the way is zazzle.com/Aaron Rutten. Put that here. I think that should work. If not, you can look up Aaron Rutten on Zazzle, but that store has not been updated in quite a while. So there may be stuff on there that you want. Like if you see something somewhere else on my website and it's not available as a print, let me know and I can definitely make that a print for you. Doesn't feel like my pen pressure is working here. Let's see. Yeah, it is. Being nitpicky about my signature. Okay, that's good enough. I like to kind of hide my initials in there so they don't really stand out. So I'll save that. Pizza Time says, very nice. Thank you, Pizza Time. Lots of great info too. Really glad I found you here on Mixer. Hopefully I can catch the whole stream next time. Definitely. Thank you for the follow and hope to see you around again. McGlynn says, may the practice be with you. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and call this one a finished painting. Thanks everybody who joined me. Galen's not here right now, but thanks again to Galen for co-streaming with me. That was fun. Thanks to Jer and Shazara and everyone else who participated. Rose for helping me get a nice blue background here. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your morning or evening or afternoon, wherever you're at, and I will see you next time.